Hi, my love, and welcome to Yes to Life podcast, a podcast about soulful living and sacred feminine embodiment. It is a podcast about following our dreams, open up to our full potential, and saying yes to life. It is also a podcast about remembering the sacredness of the female body and the feminine essence. My name is Helena. I'm a mother of 6 beautiful children and a sacred, sensual and feminine embodiment guide. I help women in all stages of their lives to love, adore and understand their female bodies, to celebrate their feminine essence and to awakening their inner goddess. I'm the founder of Blissful Feminine Flow and the creatrix of programs like Yoni Flowering, Womb Bliss, Sacred Bleeding, Blissful Mama, Pleasure Queen, and Sacred Feminine Body Love. I have always been very open and sensitive and have a feeling that more is possible. Beside my deep love and curiosity for the female body and the feminine essence, which I got mostly from my own pregnancy, birth and motherhood, I am also very fascinated about people who have dared to walk their own path and follow their dreams and are showing us that more is possible. I can see the power of us coming together and have these deep conversations about the things that we care about. I can also see the gift of listening to these deep conversations. That's why I started this podcast. If this touches something deep within you, please stay tuned and let's get started.
Hello, beautiful goddesses, and welcome to another episode of Yes Life podcast. And today I'm here with a bubbly queen. I will summon her in a few words. And it's a little bit special for me because she's near me geographically, and that's not usually so. So it's a little bit special, and the energy is bubbling. And I just want to welcome you, Anna.
Thank you. Thank you so much for inviting me, Helena.
And it wasn't so long ago I saw Anna the first time, and she caught my attention, and I started to follow her and her beautiful, uh, radiant energy and sparkly, bubbly joy come up in my feed many times. And then I wrote to her in November, I think it was.
Yes.
I just need to share this because I wrote to her, and then I thought I didn't get any answer. So I started to think, okay, what am I going to learn in this? And I also know that we have our lives that's going on and we don't resonate with everybody. So I thought that you didn't feel the connection, or, oh, that little girl, that little pink girl is not for me. That was my feeling. And it was interesting because it was something that I had to go through in that experience. And then one day now, for a few weeks ago, I saw that I got the message in
Yeah.
November. And
Yes,
I
yes.
listened to it, and the tears were flowing, and it was it made me more happy now than it would have done if I had heard it right then. So I think that is a beautiful thing to share, and also for us women to. I think we have much of that inside of us, that maybe I'm not um, good enough for her, or and that we get hurt by that. I didn't get hurt, but I felt the feeling of maybe I'm wrong in her eyes. So that was beautiful to go through before this conversation. And I know that it's so much magic that Anna has to share with you today. For those who don't know you, maybe you want to start with sharing a little bit who you are and what you do.
Yeah, thank you. I'm just feeling before we move on, I will introduce myself. You might actually be bold and maybe like you jump into someone's DMs and like you did inviting someone into a podcast and this was just a mishappening. It was interesting and maybe something that was meant to be, you know. And and like that wound, that rejection wound, and feeling like I'm wrong, we always we take it onto ourselves if someone is rejecting us. This wasn't a true rejection, but for you, you thought it was. I mean, the feelings was, you know, real. So so it was mishappening. I'm just curious, like you say, you thought that maybe I'm not good enough for her, maybe I'm wrong. Like, was that the thoughts that just, you know, came through? Like you said, you had to go through this. Did it become like, I'm just curious, you know, what happened on the inside? Because I also feel like this is important.
Yes, and that was why I shared it, because I think that is important for our conversation too, because I can feel that you and I are uh, that wildness, the feminine. I think that intensity of the wildness and the rawness and the unstoppable force that is inside of both of us is so in this in is so intense, but it expresses in so different ways.
Yeah.
And I love that with the sisterhood and our women that are awakening their inner goddess or queen, that how that looks is so different. And it's so beautiful because I inspired by you. I get inspired by you to see you and to see the totally different aspects of the feminine that you are expressing and sharing and are comfortable in. And I can feel that I have explored maybe different aspects of her.
Yeah.
I think that's what why I started to feel that maybe, because that's not always so that every woman can see that and lift other women that are different.
Yeah.
Because some women see the different aspects or qualities in the feminine as competition, or maybe that's, yeah, you understand? Yeah.
Yeah. And that's a big part of the sister wound. Like because if we talk about the feminine as what it is, the frequency, the like internal force, and it has so many different, I like to say, different flavors and tastes. And we have been in competition with each other and we compare ourselves to each other all the time, and to be so aware of that. And I think we all get those in different amounts, those feelings of being rejected, or and then making it about us to move through that like you described that you did, and to not compare ourselves but to celebrate. I like to say that a lot of women actually complain a lot too. We want to connect with, but we often do it over complaining or comparison, as you're right, because we don't want to feel wrong ourselves. To be so aware that we are not in competition. How can we lift each other up and celebrate each other? That doesn't mean that we don't get triggered or stuff like that, but how can we hold ourselves in our triggers, and how can we move beyond that to actually see each other as a gift and in this sisterhood that you describe. And I think it's so important to create those spaces like you do too, because that's how, like, we are not better or worse than anyone. We don't have to make someone wrong to be right, and we can be so different. We are different but the same. And I think it's so important to realize that. And I know you also have a lot of knowledge around this, but of course we created this sister wound because in the back of the days we had to compete for the best man because that was how we survived. So we needed to stab each other in the backs. I mean, witches were burned on the stake if they were different. And I feel like we want to be in communities where we become more of ourselves. We want to be in relationships where we become more of ourselves. Because if I become more, you become more. It's just reciprocity and giving and receiving at the same time. And that's just, so beautiful. And then I can honestly share, like when you wrote me and didn't respond, I was like, was I too raw for her? Like, and I like that you describe me as bubbly and sparkly because I am that in many ways, and I have a strong energy. Even in my business, women have come into my spaces and felt very inspired, but also a lot of them have come in and been like, your energy is too strong for me. And of course, I'm just a human, so I try to accommodate, like make myself right. That's why I burn so much about the good girl gone bad concept, because we are not playing good girls anymore. We are, and we should not, we should be aware of how we actually also push other women into accommodating, and we can stand strong in our force and still be invitational for others to be strong in theirs, because I don't want people to be like me. That would be fucking boring to live in a society where everyone was the same. So how those paradoxes of how we are expressed different, but we are the same. So yeah, I think that's beautiful. So I mean, you see, we share the same wound. And then I was just, as you say, when you did come in, because I think in comparison to you, I was like, why would she want me to be on her podcast? Because I mean, I'm so raw. But also I'm everything. Sensitive truly in her feminine. I have always been a creative, a feminine, really anchored in my feminine expression in many ways, in a society that doesn't really see the gifts of the feminine. So I think also for me, my journey, I do believe we make medicine out of our journey. So, or at least we should do that, because then it becomes gold. That's the key in alchemizing. And that means that my expression comes from my past, but life is a journey, and we always evolve. We always need to heal. Like when someone say to me they have done the work, I'm like, okay, so are you done? Because I will never be. So, yeah. So then we can connect. I like to say, then we can connect over the pain in a healthy way, because I also see sometimes we connect over the pain and the trauma in an unhealthy way. So to really be aware of that. And I have certainly been there where I just wanted to dwell in my trauma and, vented and vented and vented and vented, and we have to move through it. So I am sparkly and bubbly and have always been, but I also have a very dark side. And I don't talk about the dark side of the feminine as a shadow, because we have shadows in every piece of the feminine. But I have lived a life where I did suppress so many parts of myself. So I have lived a lot in the darkness. I have been really down into the underworld and even gotten stuck there, and moved beyond. So that's also why I think we need people around us that can see beyond without, walking into the pain with us, but like seeing beyond. And that's where I have invested in so many mentors that have helped me to move through this, to embody me truly. I like to say there's no 1, 2, 3 formula to be me, and I don't think there's any 1, 2, 3 formula to be you either. And we are ever evolving. So I think, yeah, I think it's beautiful when we can share honestly, and also that you moved through it. So I'm celebrating you.
Yes. Oh, thank you for everything that you share. And
Yeah. Yeah, it is scary. So, I mean, we have to have compassion for ourselves too. Maybe sometimes we can't dive deep into something. I like to say I've been the hardcore healer, and I've had to, and some parts of it have maybe been addictive in its own way to be that way. And sometimes we just get stuck in the pain and yeah, but I believe, when we can be in the body, we can find truth. So, and sometimes maybe we can't be in the body because it becomes too much. That's why we need much unconditional love always and all the time. And for me, that could have been hard because I didn't feel like I was worthy of love. I didn't feel like I was deserving of love. So being in the pain, even though I did alchemize it and was the hardcore healer, sort of say, it was still easier in one way to be in the pain. I have had a harder time to reach my softness, my true softness. And yeah, so who am I? Who am I? I love what women say when they come onto my podcast, and that is I'm everything. And I love that the feminine is truly. So my name is Anna, and I'm the owner of my company, The Royal Queendom, and I see myself as a crazy woman and kind of owning that craziness so it doesn't come out in bad ways, because I think we as women have been viewed as crazy for so long. And how can we own every part? I'm really an advocate for, moving through the pain and to own the parts of us that we have suppressed, to not fear them, to not fear those parts that the feminine that was suppressed. Like, so that's why I'm so anchored in the darkness of the feminine, because I feel like it's so important. And for me in my life, it played out in ways that wasn't serving me. So by owning our quote unquote dark power of the feminine, we can really source super potent powers. And that doesn't mean we have to look a certain way, or like, I think sometimes we think of femininity as like we have to look a certain way, but we can for sure play with our expression even on the outside. So I have a background as a nurse, and I like to say that that was so virtuous of me maybe to start working as a nurse. But I always saw, I think, people's pains and saw people behind their masks. But it also came from a place where I wanted to be validated. So I was very exhausted. I was very like self-abandoning in every area of my life. And as I said, I've had a background with so much depression and anxiety. I had this turn on, I had this force, but I didn't know like how I could hold it and turn it on and turn it off in my own way, because we are not aware. We did the best of what we got. So I think it's maybe 3 years ago, me and time, but I found a webinar about law of attraction because I've been in therapy but it came from a place of fixing myself, honestly. And I think we often do this. If we are fixing ourselves, we're telling ourselves we are wrong. So that's why I think it's so much more importance to dare to lean into the desires, even though if it comes with fears. So I found this webinar of the law of attraction, and I invested in a high-level coaching space. And I thought that was crazy because I didn't fucking know how to sell. So I've always been pretty good at attracting, but since I didn't have any standards, didn't have any boundaries. So when people did step into my space, I got really scared. As you say, we can be scared because we always reflect in other people. So the closer people come, it becomes a reflection, a mirror. And we don't have the knowledge or the wisdom how to move through this or how to alchemize and stuff like that. Anyway, so I learned a lot in this team, but I felt it was too mental for me. So I had a vision that I wanted to start my company and have women honestly, the first core of it was just I had a note that said I want women to dance and meditate together, and I have very bad patience, so I'm a jumper. I jump, and then I get scared. But that's the good part of me. Like I always jump on things because I felt it. I didn't understand it, but I felt it and I followed it, and then I had to clean up the messes on the go. Um, and I think when we allow ourselves to follow our turn on and our desires, we like the things that comes that we have to move through is worth it. But if we are anchored in the fear, it's more of the fixing. So here, over here in the desire, I feel like we can allow it in a juicy way, instead. I also had then gone an education with Leila Martin around sex, love, and relationships. So I wanted to be a sex coach in some way, but it was mostly for me because I had such a disempowering relationship to my sexuality and actually had very bad sex. My relationships sucked, and I was very disconnected from my body, not only my sexuality. So as I say, like I followed my desire, but it was also my pain that was pushing me because I did it for myself. And I have always been like that. I like to embody what I teach. I love to read. This is becoming a long story, but anyway, so I just started that and I worked with what I got. And honestly, you might seem like you might think like, okay, so then I follow some kind of strategy but I have a bad patience and I just want things, to work out. So I resigned from this company that I was working with, started my own business, and the first month I actually went on a vacation with my family to start up my business for real with a master class on the second month after, and had only, yeah, well, if we're talking English, $80 on my bank account, and didn't know if I would get clients, but I did. So that was amazing. There was over 100 women on my master class. I just started a program called the Goddess Code and really didn't know what I was talking about, but I just talked anyways. I got scared. I couldn't hold it. We talk a lot about the feminine being the receiver. So this is, my journey and then what I pour into my coaching spaces. So it's lived experience. So my awareness, my wisdom is lived experience, which also made me resolve a lot of wounds because it was hard for me. People can say to you, like, let go, he is not good for you, or this is not good for you. And I could know that, but there was still something inside of me that had the desire, the connection. So I wanted to resolve that because otherwise I knew it would you be like comparing maybe to an alcoholic. They could remove all the alcohol, they could create an environment, but I don't feel liberated if I do that. I want to resolve it from within. And that's what I did. And I also allowed myself, you know what, this is obviously a kink for me if I want to be with this man. So I played out my whore archetype. And the beautiful thing was that I met a lover that seduced him and started to express my no when it was needed, of course. Very unleashed in the bedroom, in every way. And I could open up and cry, and like we had a ritual, and he was very reaffirming. There were things that was not so good. He betrayed me in the end. But I don't see that. I see the gifts that I got from it. I have always worked best when going to like in my reality, to go to the places that trigger me or where my desires are, so I can play it out in real life and bring it into my new. And honestly, I think this will be my best program I've ever held, called Reclamation of the Crown. And this is where all these feminine archetypes and energies are welcome. So I have really landed, as you say, that we should not compare. I don't want anyone, I don't want anyone to think that they need a certain frame of being or doing things or anything. I want you to be you. It's like a bomb. So I don't know what is happening on the other side.
Juiciness and so much important things that you say. And I know that the women that are listening are feeling your energy, and also that is awakening these things in themselves that needs to be heard. And it's a few things that I just want to speak a little bit about, and that's what you said about the the feminine that can't really follow any strict structures. She wants to flow freely and express herself and move on way. And I was listening to a webinar about the water the other day, and how the water has her natural flow that she has to flow with. And when we start to make the her way straight, then we destroy her capacity and her aliveness. And I think that that is exactly what is happening to our feminine essence and to the feminine and the women in the world. Then when we start to put her in some boxes and to take away her true flow, that is absolutely perfect. Maybe many things, but one more thing that I want to just give a little bit more energy is their relationship with men, because I can see this. I have worked with women now for many years, and have had circles, and we sit there and we talk about our lives. And no, but I think that that relationship to men is so important, because I can see that before I didn't speak about the men or the relationship to men, and we were sitting there, but and we couldn't heal each other from that sister wound, and as women, but it happens something different when we also open the door to our relationship to men in whatever way we want to explore that. But if we cutting them out, then we're missing a deep part of the feminine and what we can explore and come in contact with.
I agree, because you are the spark for him. So we coming home to our power, it not being a power struggle, but like coming home and realizing also like where is our part as women here. You realize that I can be my power and I can own that and bring out those juicy parts and feel safe within myself and open up.
Yes. Yes, and I think that maybe it's a deep wound, but it's also, as anything else that we have been talking about, when we look into that and liberate from that, it's so much energy that being released, and to we regain our power in a way. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, no one is saying that we haven't been hurt or wounded, but we don't want to stay in our wounding, right? So we can sit there and be like, yeah, be stuck in it. As you say, we can get stuck in the pain, or we can move. And the thing is that when I changed, the men around me started to change. So it's empowering, because that means that we are not a victim of life. That means that we are both liberated and standing in our power. And I mean, boldness, if we take boldness, doesn't mean like, yes, I know, because I come from a family also that is very loud. I've grown up like that, and I'm not very polite. I can be very polite, but So I can be very loud. My own kids can be very loud, and like I've come from that. So what is beauty? That's why femininity is not a certain look or like, but that can also be scary because the boys always loved me. They like to help me and do those things, and I was very popular in many ways, but it was seen, but we don't want to be seen. But we are most powerful when we can allow ourselves to be seen.
Yes. Yes.
Like, yeah, so it's scary, but owning it is powerful, and it's creating more safety actually to allow ourselves to be seen in any way we want to be seen. So yeah.
Yes. 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 I think that we are more afraid of that, being seen and being loved and being free than we are of the other parts and the other way that has been the reality for many women for a long time. So, and many of us feel that we are here to break that cycle and to do something else, and we can't even suppress that voice inside of us anymore. And it's so beautiful to come together and to see other women do it too, in our own unique ways. But we it feels beautiful to that we are not alone, and that it's a illusion that it's just easy, but it's so much usiness if we just jump, as you said in the beginning.
Jump into the unknown.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah, and I mean, no, we have to hold like, yeah, that duality of it all, and then get not get stuck in either or. Don't get stuck in the pain, or don't get stuck in the hard, and creating more ease. And like this is the journey. So yeah, but I think that's why I still like on my page I talk about the hard stuff too, because in the beginning when I went into to the coaching space, yes, then it could be like, oh my God, someone is, oh, I want this. We look like we people work like that. I see something, I want it because I think that they have a more amazing life than I do. So, but then I come there and like meet all the hard stuff. And that's when we have to find the way to work through it. Not by like working hard, doing more, but it's more of the working hard on the inside because no one, like my money could go away. I could be in a relationship, the person could die or leave me or whatever. But when I don't abandon myself, when I am strong and powerful in myself, when I hold all those pieces I have reclaimed that was actually always mine, we are unstoppable because no one can take it away from me. No one can take away my abundance on the inside. No one can take away my love. Like I could get hurt, but honestly, if you're not willing to get hurt, you can never be loved. Because that means that you open your heart and are like holding it up to another person, saying, I trust you with my heart. I trust you with my vulnerabilities. I trust you with really, because even if we are our authentic selves, we are still humans. Don't show maybe every part of myself to everyone. We shouldn't do that, actually, because I have very much been very naive in many ways in the past. Uh, Comes up, my mom always said, "You're so naive," and I said, "I'd rather be naive than cynical." But there's a balance to everything. But if I don't allow someone to truly see me, it's easier than to actually unstrip my heart. That's more scary. So there are just so many pieces to this. And I mean, I know you are in a relationship that you talk about. And I do believe that co-creative conscious relationship explore what do I desire. So coming back to the Madonna whore, so if we integrate those parts, but that are just two parts, like, and we become truly a self-master anchored in our sexual energy, not only talking about sex. I mean, I think that's the highest form of self-mastery. And that means we don't suppress it, because we have lived in a society that has suppressed pussy, suppressed sex, suppressed those parts. And we need to bring it back. It can also depend on where I'm in my menstruation cycle. And that's where, I mean, I think I played out this whore archetype with the wrong men, because I had a split in the Madonna whore. I had the Madonna whore complex, because how would a man be able to love me as a Madonna, as this soft, light, mothering, nurturing woman, and still take me like an animal in the bedroom? And of course, I was afraid when I was suppressed in my sex, like when I was disconnected, because those pieces, I could feel them. I couldn't even put them into words, but I could feel them. And always had a very strong sexual energy. I realized that because it played out in the bedroom, but it was always for the men. Like I never got nourished by it. So the sexual energy was always very strong. It was just that I leaked it out and gave it away to everyone. And we do this all the time. That's why I like the good girl gone bad concept, because if we take the Madonna archetype and the Virgin archetype, I might not be the best spokesperson about this, but I dated Muslim, I went to the mosque, I dated Christians, I went to church. I always explore the spaces. I like to say something pisses me off, I go there to explore it for myself. I might not be able to source a Muslim or a Christian, I'm not saying that, so I not speak for others, but I'm extremely, I explore things for myself. So I do not believe that that only being a virgin would be virtuous, because we are good girling and whoring ourselves out in so many ways. And we need to understand that our sexual energies are highest. That is very, I like to see it as the elixir. I like to talk about the erotic elixir, and I want to have sex with someone or not. It's in my power to do so. And this is the paradox in everything, because then some people might sleep around with how many and don't really love what they are doing. So it's never about right or wrong, but it's about not leaking the energy. And it's a very potent, through our bodies. I had a Kundalini awakening a few years ago before I even knew what it was. And this force pushed like through my body, and I started to cry. And now I know what it was, but I didn't know that now. And it's actually what burns through illusions. And it's what opens up and can transform into any energy. It can transform into our heart and into our mind, like this bottom up approach. And that's why we should not fear our body, we should not fear our sexuality, and we should understand that powerful force, it's ours. And especially as women, I like to say we have insatiable desires. And I see a lot of women, a lot of us are afraid of our own anger, especially if we have been like good girls. We should please others. We should be silent. We should, and this rage is such a raw, potent energy, but we don't want to flip over to the other side where we become over emotional, hysterical either. So it's always to find this balance, but this pure rage, like like any emotion is energetics, and they can be used in the bedroom, they can be used in your creative work, they can be used like it's yeah it's
Yes.
it's power.
Yes, yes, yes. Oh, I love this so much, and I'm so happy that you um, speak on this too, because I totally agree. The sexual energy is the most powerful thing we have, and how we are relating to it and using it and being with it is also so important. And I think it's so many twisted programs and so many twisted things around it that we has to go in there and just start to take away all this guilt, shame, fear, and yes, twisted programmings to start to see the true potential in it. And for me, that has been wow, a journey. I think I haven't been afraid of my sexuality, but for many years in my past relationship, maybe I was in contact with this sexual energy because, as you said, sexual energy and having sex is not the same. But to also use the the sex and the sexuality to explore more of me has taken me to places that I didn't dare to look into before. And it's giving us power, and it's giving us the feeling that we can stand up for ourselves and for our kids and for the world. And of course, all of course, but I think that maybe that's why it have been so targeted. Because if we can destroy our pussies and our sexuality and our love for ourselves, then you can do whatever you want with us. And now we're taking that back, and it's so beautiful to see, because sometimes I can see I can have had a day of not feeling so good and a little bit powerless, or yes, low. And then I have this beautiful lovemaking session and powerful orgasm. And the day after, I walk through the world like a queen. And it's so beautiful and interesting to see when you start to be aware of it. Wow, is this making my view at the world totally transforms?
Yes.
So, yes.
Yes, I mean juicy orgasms and I mean it's not the orgasm of itself I see it as, because I've had physical orgasms that haven't nourished me at all, and I can be orgasmic in my whole being without even touching my pussy. So it's like this energy is I've had energetic orgasms. I remember one orgasm when I was working with a coach and unleashed a lot of rage. I mean, a lot of women have been in fawning and freeze a lot of the time. That's our survival state. And to start to bring out that anger as raw energy. And I remember working with it and alchemizing it, and it stopped at my throat, which was just so beautiful, since we have been so blocked in our throats. And that for an hour, I had the most amazing energetic orgasm in my throat. And like, I'm like, oh my God, there are just so many worlds beyond what we understand of what we can experience with our bodies. It's amazing. And as you say, like, it's been targeted. Imagine being able to take away people's power like that we already hold within. I mean, my program is called Reclamation of the Crown, because the crown is ours, not to some certain saints or anything like, or kings or queens. Like, you are the queen, you are the goddess. And it's a remembrance of who we already are. It's even an illusion that someone else has the power. And I'm not saying in the world that people don't have power in the external, but I do believe we have internalized the system. We are caging ourselves. That means if we are caging ourselves, we hold the key to the cage and we can open it any moment. And that also comes with self-responsibility and self-ownership. So sometimes actually to realize that maybe it's a kink even to be in the cage, even though we say we don't want to be there. And it's so easy to be like, oh, those politics or those or all the people that, like, I think of racism or whatever, like it's so easy to point fingers. Oh, those men. Like I think of the feminists, like, no, it's fucking internalized in you. So are you going to sit here and just give away your power, or are you going to take it back? Because it's already yours. And when we realize that shifts can change so fast, like honestly, in theory, you could shift it like this if you get it. So sometimes it's a lot of processes, yes, but that's just because our human mind is not like getting it, because it can shift so fast. And we also hold that duality. That means that even in the bedroom, if I was only safe and like someone wasn't firm and leading, or like, and I'm not saying that only women like to be led in the bedroom, but like if they would, not hold a bit of danger, even as like I see that connected to our primal,
Yes.
that is part of the turn on. So, I mean, if we talk in the BDSM world, they play consciously with this concept. And for a submissive to even experience what she wants in the bedroom, she can't talk from the bottom and control, because it's in the control, and that's in ourselves. I need to surrender. I need to submit to this person. Uh, and we do this all the time, not only with men. We do it to the government, with like this getting really deep, but like we're submitting to people and making other people the authority of our lives all the time. So how about doing it consciously and maybe even play with it? Because I think we need to bring more playfulness into our sex and into our lives. And to at the least admit to ourselves that this is a desire. So in the bedroom, like, and I've experienced this, I can really get stuck in control, and it might not look the same for men and women many times, but I mean, if someone would explore with me in the bedroom and I am not surrendered, then I am in control, even though the man is doing the thing on the out, like if we would look at it from the outside. But that's me blocking myself from the experience I'm saying that I want. So the surrender is everything. And I know you talk about this. This doesn't mean we surrender just to anyone, but unconsciously we do this all the time to all the wrong people. So, and letting go of control. So yes, men have been controlling and they are more physical than women many times, but we are also fucking controlling. We can be
Yes,
very
absolutely.
manipulative. Yes. And yeah, and this is what I've seen, like the more aware I've become and in myself, because I can see like I am longing for this experience so much, but I'm not letting go of control. And no one, like, that's on me.
Yes.
So a man can only penetrate a woman as far as she allows him to penetrate her. And of course, the same the other way. A man can only open his heart or whatever as much as he allows a woman in. So it's like, but it's, yeah, how can we find a way also to help each other, and how can we actually call each other out with love, if we're, because as a woman, I can feel sometimes, oh my God, becoming so aware and like so strong in my essence. I see through people's bullshit, and still I hold this residue of my good girl that can fall into pleasing, and it's, but it's, and some people are not willing to look themselves in the mirror. That's just a fact, and maybe they are just not ready. They are not bad people. I said it on my own podcast episode. If someone would have come into my life and tried to do the things I like in the bedroom now 5 years ago, I would have shut down. My system wasn't ready for it. It wasn't expanded enough. But also as women, because I can fall into this, then we should know that what is our standard, and maybe I should walk away from this person. Not because I don't have to make him the villain. I don't have to make myself the victim. I don't have to make him bad. I just have to say that this isn't in alignment with what I want in my life. That's it.
Yes. Yes, absolutely. Yes, and yes. And I also think that it's totally different. There's so much you say that is so point on. And I can see the women who come into my world and they are um, sad or depressed because they putting down their desires, their true desires, and irritated and anger because they want a man. That's much of what I get into my world. Even if I don't speak about it so much, every woman starts to talk about their relationship with men when they come into my world,
Yeah.
and how they want to be held and then also want to be penetrated. Fuck me open, please. They scream inside. And they also hold this super controlling energy. So
Mm.
there's a war inside of them. And when they start to understand what is going on, then something, as you said, we can shift things in just seconds. They come in and do I have this Yoni flowering program, like pussy
Mm.
reclamation or
Yeah,
something.
yeah, 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 I love that.
And they do these meditations and these practices, and then they write me back that, oh shit, what is happening? I'm going to the food store, and man just walking around me and sniffing at.
I
and,
love that.
and the weird part of this, that is that I smile back. Before I would just turn out and give him yes, hurting him in some way, to be angry at him. And now no, I'm laughing or smiling at him. So it's when we know ourselves and when we, because I think with the pussy and the yoni and the sexuality, then we start to know what is my yes and my no. And then we can allow things more easily. But if
Yeah.
we are going to be with a guard up for everything to be safe, then it's not fun. That's not what the feminine wants. I think that it is a deep journey in the feminine to be penetrated and open up and to let the masculine to just penetrate through all the bullshit, because I think we can't do that really to by ourselves, and then we can use it as an energy, as you said. It maybe it's not just one man. We can play with the energy and
Mm.
allow that in.
Yeah, yeah. And I mean, I'm still single and I've done a lot of work, which just means that I know that I will attract a more conscious man. And it has shifted so I can, because the thing is, everything is always around me or us.
Yes.
And what is in alignment with our unconscious or subconscious is what we see. That's why we are walking. I like to say we're walking in this world like our own world. I'm in my world and I see everything. So if I'm always in fear, I will always see what I have to fear. And I will always, if I'm on the lookout, I don't say we shouldn't know what some behaviors or red flags, but a lot of red flags are just not red flags. They are just someone living differently than you. They're just living their life. And you're in the power of having standards and boundaries of your own. And this might be a journey. So it's not like I'm not compassionate that we didn't choose our childhood, we didn't choose our conditioning. That's true. But it's our choice to change it. So when I shift, I see new things in my reality, which means that I am open to see and get attracted to the healthy man. Because honestly, I would lie if I said that I didn't choose some of the men because I was addicted to the high. I was addicted to, and then I resolved it so I could have true turn on for healthy men, because I could have chosen on paper a healthy man, but how, maybe I would always be afraid maybe he would leave me, or like I would have like because I would still hold that unworthiness within. And I do believe, as you say, in the end, they're just places, both I think as the masculine and the feminine, we can't explore or go on our own. I do believe that. And this depth. And maybe not everyone is like you and me, Helena, that wants to experience that. Maybe just some wants to live a bullshit life, and let them do that. But
Yes.
but I do believe we're just craving this depth and together in co-creation and union. And like, yeah, I am starting to feel very ready for that. So if someone is watching this, you can email me at
She's open to the possibility. Yeah, and just being open for that. Because you said something before with that, of course we have been hurt. I don't think that is any woman that don't have been hurt by men or have a mother or a grandmother who have been hurt by men. But I also can feel that I will be hurt, yes, every other day by my beautiful man. He's amazing, but I also, it depends where I am in myself. If I am too much, if I haven't nurtured my feminine, I'd be very hurt many times. But I know that I have to go into myself and then release the tension because many things is just a repetition of old trauma or pattern that has nothing to do with him. And the most painful thing, that is when I shut down and don't allow him in. And that never works because after a while I have to open because I can't be close. I can't shut down. And the beautiful thing that he is coming to me and help me to open. But I think that, as you said, that's my responsibility to open. I can't wait for him to do that.
No, and I think that's something that is very important. Yes, the men should the masculine leads in the physical. I see it as the masculine leads in the physical, the feminine leads in the energetic realm. But like he doesn't have full responsibility. Yes, we can help each other, but if you don't open, he can't penetrate you, and that is a woman's responsibility. So that doesn't mean we can't help each other. I mean, if we were friends and you shut down, maybe I could speak on it, just to make you aware of it, but I couldn't go in and heal you or do it for you. I could maybe contain you or like, those things. Or as a coach or a mentor or a husband or like, because we are our own healers and we can create a space where it's an unconscious environment where it gets easier, but we still have to do our own work. So it's so interesting also how you say, because one thing, bringing out that we are imperfect people in relationship with each other, with our own challenges, our own imperfections, our own hurt, so we don't project them onto others. And also the permission slip to not needing to be perfect, because sometimes I feel like talking about healing can become very toxic because it's just another way of being a good girl, waiting for this one day to come. I'll be perfect. I'll be in perfect shape. I'll be perfectly emotionally regulated. I'll be perfect in any way. And we are just creating a new way of distancing ourselves from other people. We are not connecting
Yes.
because we will never be perfect.
Yes.
So and as you as a mentor and like, yes, you are still imperfect. You're still learning. You're still going into your wounding sometimes, and you can still lead other women in this work and be amazing at that. And maybe because you are so true and real, you can be so amazing at that. So I love what you're saying. And also, as you say, sometimes when the masculine hurts us, they didn't act. But I think to have this perception of that most people are not trying to hurt us. They might hurt us, they might act badly, and sometimes it's on the other end. It's actually me just feeling hurt because of
Yes.
my own past. And this can be hard, of course. So, how does your man react when you shut down? If you, I don't know if you want to share it on public.
Yes, yes. Thank you for asking that because we are really talking about this so much and he loves to I think much of this polarity and what instinct of the feminine and the masculine he has known it inside of him and he is also interesting to just reawaken it and to so he's interested about me as a woman, how I work. And when he is tired, he just look at me and don't care. And that is the most painful thing a man can do to me, because I have lived in a really toxic relationship before with a man that wanted to hurt me and to use that as a weapon for me to destroy me totally.
The
So
silent treatment.
yes, the silent
Uh,
treatment. And my man now, he's not a speaker. He's very silent. He uses his body, his hands, his kisses, his support, and doing everything for me. But that's not natural from him to speak to me. And when I'm like that, when he's tired, I think the energy is not there. And he also start to think, what have I done? He's explaining this to me. But he also comes to me and hug me and kisses me and ask me, what is it? Or how are you? And that is sometimes I answer and soften. But in the beginning, I couldn't even answer to that because I just said nothing and it got harder. And I think that we have this pattern, many women, that we want someone to, oh, but sorry, what? Keep on asking. But he didn't.
mm. That's a good thing because then he would have stepped into the victim victim
Exactly. And
villain.
now I can thank him for that. And I can say that he has taught me so much about myself, because then when we speak about, or have spoken about it afterwards, he had said that, don't use that against me, or don't do that. Ask for what you want. Tell me what you want. I will give it to you. So I have learned that from him, that say what you want,
Yeah.
speak it out, even if he wouldn't give it to me.
Yeah. I love that. And there's how we can see like you used the silent treatment too. So you were
Yes.
like giving it to him. So that's how we unconsciously are actually acting in ways that are hurtful to others too, or even though we don't mean it because we are hurt. And when we are hurt, we unconsciously hurt other people. It just becomes this cycle of hurting. So
Yes.
I'm so what an amazing man to not step into that space with you, but still, call you out, like tell me what you want. I want to give it to you because I do believe I've fallen into, I like to say I see many people talk about this in different ways, but I see we go from the bad boy to the Mr. Nice Guy. And the
Yes.
bad boy has a very strong backbone, but a very maybe tyrant and like too strong, too me, and like that. Moreover, too, we are all on a gliding scale from narcissism to we
Yes.
need a bit of both to the Mr. Nice Guy that fucking pleases us so many times. But the interesting thing was when I got into the since this was what happened in 2023, those men that was so rigid was also very pleasing because I got to know them on a real level. So that also made me think maybe we just have compassion around it. Maybe we have all just found different ways to protect ourselves. Some of us, I've been the damsel in distress. The only way I could be taken care of was because I became depressed and my men had to take care of me. So, you know, and I needed to take a look at that. And honestly, I get angry when people please me because I feel unsafe when I'm so we think that we need I want a nice guy, but he's very unsafe. If it comes a burglar in my door, I want man to beat him up. Like I don't want to be the beater upper. I want my man to beat him up. So it's this there's unsafety in all of this survival patterns. So we somehow I got sick because I overgave. I gave outside of my home and inside of my home I was just depressed and I was so angry that my ex treated me like a child. But honestly, I was acting like a child, but I didn't know it. So we have to have compassion for it. But also like, yeah.
Yeah.
He treated me like a child because I was acting like a child. That's just the truth of it. So, we all have, and we have to understand that in most dynamics, I'm not saying that in some abusive relationships, I'm not been abused in that way. And I actually have stepped out of the dynamics. There's just feels like it's something inside of me that has protected me. I've stepped out of unhealthy dynamics. Um, but where was I going with this? So then we can take a look at ourselves with the same compassion. So we don't have to keep. I did a podcast episode on how to act from business. And the truth is, this is just a drama cycle. We step into this all the time. The more aware we become, we see it in the workplace. We see the martyr. We see the damsel in distress. Yeah, we could, there's just
So
so many
many.
aspects of this.
Yeah. But I'm happy that we started to a conversation around this and starting a process for the listeners and for ourselves. But we're going to wrap this up. And I just want you to share a little bit more about the program that I'm coming, if you want to.
Oh, yeah. So it's in the making, and around marketing, it's for women truly to reclaim their crown, to be a queen in their lives, and to understand that because I've had myself a hard time to connect and integrate all these different feminine pieces inside of me, and that everything is the queen, no matter if you're like the wild woman and more to that place, or I've been in spaces, with these women that are very luxurious. We so easily step ourselves into boxes, and I want you to crash all those boxes inside of you. Like, I see your body as your queendom, so we will do the embodiment work, and I really want to bring in also the piece around the masculine, because as you say, I think it's a deep longing. And I have not really created the full structure of the program. It's in the making now, but intimacy program, everything is a relationship to money. But I want to focus more on, around the masculine, because I see that so many women are longing for that, and that we can understand the masculine. But truly, it's coming home to yourself, because I talk also about seduction. And if you can't seduce yourself, you can't seduce the world because everything is a reflection of you. So it's a 6-month program. I'm going to pour everything into this. Right now, it's 4,444 because I am still in the making, so I can't really like the bold ones that wants to move in before the price rises. Um, so this will be my signature program. So I've held different containers before, but this will be my signature program that I will keep running. So this is the first and maybe only fully live experience for 6 months. And the spots are limited, because how do we want to create in life? I love intimate spaces. I want to be able to speak with the women and see them and really be there with them. So anyone who feel like this is not a 1, 2, 3, buy a program, learn how to make money, or like, I love the intimacy. And I think that creating that space, also, as you say, to be in women that are celebrating themselves, owning their sex, opening their hearts, lighting their crowns, walking boldly into life, are safe to flirt. I mean, I flirt with the cashier all the time. I flirt, like we flirt and we are in our seductive energy, and really taking back this power. But truly, if you own a business, you could join, because my business thrives the more I heal my relationship to the masculine. That's just the truth of it. So yeah, more details will be out. But honestly, it's the thing in my business is that I never read sales pages, and now
Yeah.
but I create them for myself. I just feel the energy. Like, I'm a feeler. I feel something. I go in. Like, I have bought from a single post on Instagram. My former, not the mentor I have now, but like, she had a post that said "own your too muchness." So I just jumped into her DMs and like, yeah, so I paid her $8,000 on pay in full, like, yes, let's go. That's how I work. And then I realized maybe not everyone is like me, but this is the energy we're bringing, like the frequency. You are finding your taste, your flavor of a woman,
Yes.
and I will create the foundation. This will be lifetime access, so you can take, like, really go back to it over and over again. So the reason why it's 6 months too is because I wanted to really have a transformation. It's so easy to fall into, I mean, in marketing, it's like marketing yourself to dress yourself up when you go, but no one will look at you if you have beautiful dress more than a second if you're not radiating with your energy. So you can add on, Telegram, so I can coach you through the program on the Telegram app, or I have spaces open for one-on-one mentorship. That is also 6 months, and the same there. I only hold a few clients at a time because I am my tool.
Yeah.
So if I am not grounded in myself, I cannot see you. So I could never hold anything that would be like 100 people in. Not at this point in my life, anyways, because I love it cozy. I love deep. I'm deep. So yeah, through I did a I did a reel yesterday that said million dollar pussy, you can't afford this. And I want you to understand that that's how fucking valuable you are as a woman.
Yes.
And that your pussy is worth $1 million. So raising those standards and realizing that we have to work through some things, shifting some, yeah, that first two words, dancing and meditation.
Yes.
So yeah, it's the energy of it, and we're having fun. I'm going to create it all from the, I like to say, all from the dirty, dirty to the fancy. That's me,
Yes.
dirty and fancy. I'm full of contradictions. That's people can figure me out. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, beautiful. That sounds gorgeous. And I think I will, if you send me the links, I will put them under
Yes.
this week so they don't have to think about that now. They can just listen to your words and feeling the energy and then check out the links. So,
Yes, yes, yes. And if someone have any questions, you are always free to drop into my DMs. Slide into my DMs and I will take care of you.
yes.
I don't do sales calls. I work through my DMs, but it's an open invitation to drop in there to explore your desires and
Both,
if
both for this container course, mastermind, and also for the men that want to date you.
yes. Thank you. You know what? It depends. This has also been a journey. I had to block a man yesterday because I gave him a clear no, and he just kept talking about himself. So I'm just block. I have no rule. But if you bring me value in my DMs, I might answer you because I
Ex-
have, with the work that I do, I had to learn to block a lot of men on my social media.
Yes,
But sometimes some men drops in with gold, and then they get my attention. Hold a high standard, girl.
yes,
So if you're a man and coming into my DMs, I might answer if you catch my attention. But a lot of men I have needed to block them.
yes, yes.
Yes.
Beautiful.
It's so funny. I love that you said that.
Yes.
Thank you.
Maybe it's
Yes.
going out in the ether and someone is going to hear it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I'm not worried. I know my man is on his way, and every time someone rejects me, it can hurt sometimes, but I know that they are making space for my man, and I am having fucking magical co-creation. So of course not, it's not for anyone.
No, exactly. That's beautiful to
Yes.
understand about us. Yes, but thank you, Anna, so, so much for this conversation.
Thank
And
you.
I hope that maybe we should do a part 2 or 3 or some more conversations.
Yes, yes, yes. Just invite me. Yes,
Beautiful.
that sounds
Thank
true. Thank you.
Thank you for listening. If this was touching you, please feel free to share. And to find out more, check out the links below.